and welcome back to Once Upon a Page. Today is February 14th, which we know is a day early from our usual posts on Saturdays, but we wanted to be sure and wish you guys a happy Valentine's Day, and so we decided to post the day early, and everybody's wearing red except me. I didn't get the memo. I wore pink instead,
Pink is good.
which is why I get the middle seat today.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about romance, because what else are you going to talk about on Valentine's Day? But we actually asked several of our readers, people in groups we're in on social media, things like that, what their favorite things and least favorite things were about the Christian romance genre. So that includes historical and contemporary. So what did you guys find out?
So I didn't get a whole lot of feedback. I didn't get it posted as quickly as I wanted to. But my reader, Fauna, in Texas, said her favorite thing is not having to worry about turning the page and coming across something very inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got several of those.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons that I switched to Christian romance only, or Christian books only, because I got really tired of finding all of that in every book.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then her least favorite thing was the cheese factor. She's tired of the super cheesy, kind of predictable, and she really enjoys series that give you a chance to get more in depth with the characters.
Nice.
That's a good point.
I heard some of those as well.
Yep.
Now on the what is appropriate and what is inappropriate, let's discuss that just a little bit, because
Okay.
I am part of a couple reading groups on Facebook, and what people consider is the line is different. Like I'll read, so I had somebody that one of my favorite books they absolutely blasted because of the way the husband treats the wife in the beginning, and they took it very as very aggressive, almost abusive, almost. But you see that through the rest of the story, he realizes it's his own demons that are pushing him in this area, and he grows, and they develop the kind of relationship. But she was like, "Oh no, do not ever recommend this book. Do not, and things like that." And I've noticed others with, for some people, if you describe more than just a kiss. And I don't mean I mean just like
him carrying into the bedroom.
like that. Yes, that
Okay.
would be the hint that this is, or the
hint
I
that
guess
that's where they're going.
that's where they're going. Even as married people, not going into the room with them, but showing the right before or right after kind of things. They have a problem with that. So where is the line for you guys? What have you?
Let's see. I don't know. I've read, with being YA, you don't usually come across a lot of that to have to worry about. It's slowly starting to get almost as explicit as other books, adult books. So
That's sad.
it is sad.
It's so sad.
Really sad. Leading up to the bedroom or after doesn't really bother me personally. I just don't really want to read it like unfolding in real time. That's not something I want to read. But it doesn't really bother me if there's more than just a kiss. What about you guys?
I'm okay with leading up to it, even seeing them go into the room together and know that's what they're going to do. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
But like Erin said, I don't want to read every little detail. I don't want people to know that about me, and I definitely don't want to know that about them.
Yeah.
What about in Christian books? This is kind of a taboo at times. But say you have a character that's maybe one's a Christian, maybe one's not a Christian. Whatever the makeup of it is, they have sex outside of marriage, but they aren't glorifying it. They're showing this mistake was made, the repercussions of it, things like that. I've had people that know that should not be taking place, that should not be, not in a Christian book, not in, do you?
That doesn't bother me because I look at it as, that's life now, and it's messy, and how can you really show a character arc without that? I want to see them change, hopefully, by the end of the book.
Right.
But, how can you expect it to touch your reader and to change, help them or change them if you're not willing to show the messy parts of life? And that's kind of my whole philosophy on writing is I don't want to be afraid to show that.
I think I would rather have that than all of the divorced couples that are starting to appear in books, because that's, I don't know, that makes me just a little bit uncomfortable of them leaving one relationship to go to this other one. I would rather just start fresh, I guess. I know there's a lot of divorce in the world, and I know that's real, but it's just hard for me to handle a lot, and it's becoming more and more and more prevalent, even in Christian.
Well, and how is it handled?
novels.
Were they divorced before coming
Right.
to faith? Is there an extenuating circumstance? Or is it just I was bored with them and moved on?
Yeah.
There are so many factors that
So
go
many,
into that as
yes.
well. Some of my comments, let me see if I can bring them back up again, just 1 second. My tablet likes to shut down when I don't pay it attention. The happy ending is a favorite. I heard that several times. So they may not want the formula. They may not want the hallmark path to the happy ending, but they
Yes.
want the happy ending.
Can you blame them?
A lot of no. Who doesn't want to? Who wants to feel bad after they read a
Right.
book?
Yeah.
I do it to feel. It can be heavy.
Yeah.
It can have good
Mhm.
heavy things that make me think and
And
grow
there's-
and challenge me.
And there's times when I want that really easy,
Mhm.
lighthearted, happy,
Don't have to worry about
happily
anything. You
ever
just know
after
how it's
read.
gonna work.
Yeah. So.
Pet peeves. Not enough conflict.
Yes.
It's a romance. I know the boy and girl will end up together in the end. So an entire novel of will they, won't they gets monotonous.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Adding more conflict keeps it interesting. Although further down and in some of the others, it has to be the right conflict. Because other people mentioned, I feel like authors are putting in conflict just to add conflict. It's not organic to the story. And they don't like that. It feels
Right.
like a disconnect to them.
Yes.
So I did see that
It's interesting.
they want the conflict, but it does have to be
Not just for
natural.
the sake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christian fiction that doesn't uphold Christian values.
Is what they like or don't
It,
like?
this one I think is all things they don't like.
Okay.
Because then the next one is predictability in any genre.
Mhm.
Although I feel like the Christian fiction that isn't, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, that because of such wide beliefs, you can't write for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some
Yes.
people that are going to look and go, well, that, like putting in a divorced couple. That
Right.
divorced couple is in there. So I don't consider this Christian, or the guy who was not nice to his wife when they first got
Right.
married. That's not Christian now, things like that. But, this one says, and this is Mary, Schlegel? Sure. Okay, we'll go with Schlegel. She says, my favorite is a romance story where the romance could be entirely removed and there would still be a story left. She wants the romance to be a bigger part of the picture. But without the romance, some of her favorite books would still be an engaging story. Pet peeves, when the author won't stop describing what everyone is wearing. Or when the emotions all feel like overwrought high school drama. Or the girl is a total ninny. I like that.
Ninny.
When drama and angst and misunderstanding, she has a lot of pet peeves in this one. When drama and angst and misunderstanding go on for chapters and chapters simply because the characters won't open their mouth and explain. I had some others that say that. It's like,
That's what my
all you
husband
had to do was
hates.
ask, was it your uncle on the phone? You know?
Yeah.
That is what my husband hates about Hallmark movies.
Uh-huh.
He's like, if they had just talked to each other in
Yeah.
the first 10 minutes of the movie, we could have been done with this already. And I'm like, but then you wouldn't have the movie. He's like, I know.
You could have found out that
Kinda-
Sally was totally, she's already married. She's
I know.
not
Kind
even.
of goes back to the formula thing.
Mhm.
You know,
It does.
like what really kind of annoys me is the whole they hate each other, and then they like each other, and then they fight, and then they break up, and then someone has to do a grand gesture, and I know that's pretty typical of romance, but it's just done like it's like you just expect it, and I
Mhm.
hate. That's kind of one of my pet peeves.
Again, the thing keeping the couple apart can be cleared up with a text message. So we have a lot of that. Or those that they hate each other, completely hate each other,
Mm,
and then all of a sudden they love each other,
mhm.
but there's no conversation
reason
in
for
between.
it,
It like
yeah.
just switches
Gotcha.
like
Right.
yeah. They did mention that a little bit.
Yes.
And one reader, J.J. Stewart, poses the question, is it important to you to keep them apart until near the end of the book? Or can the author bring them together early and develop the romance between them? So none of
Ooh,
this
that's a good
fighting.
question.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
question.
So
Most
actually,
books wait until the end.
they do.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the main part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually written one a couple years ago that was about a couple who'd been married for a few years and were starting to have some problems with their marriage, and so they have to figure out how to work it out. And I'm liking things like that more now because you don't have the whole are they going to fall in love question, but you have the how are they going to make their love last
Mhm.
Yeah.
question, which is actually like one of
Well,
my
in
biggest
Faith and
pet
Hope, you
peeves
have a
is
married
the
couple.
how easy the characters fall in love. I hate that phrase,
Yeah.
honestly,
Mhm.
because it's love is not something you fall into and out of. It's
Right.
it's an action, but yeah, I agree.
Anne Campbell brings up a good point. I don't like it when the romance connection changes all bad behavior into good guys or girls. It doesn't work. After the honeymoon is over, the old traits just show back up.
Yeah.
Not that people can't change. There's
Right.
real, but is falling in love with somebody going to change him from being this
Yeah.
awful creep to being
No.
this great person?
No, something outside
Mhm.
of the relationship has
Mhm.
to change them, or it's not gonna
Mhm.
work.
All good points.
Yeah. If it's Christian fiction, it should be God changing them.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
That's the whole reason that we write it, right?
Yeah. And then one of my biggest, this one kind of touches on that in a different direction. One of my biggest pet peeves as an editor, this is an editor speaking, is when a simple romance is turned into a sermon about a social issue or brings in a too serious subject. I don't mind depth to a story when the conflict isn't out of the scope of the romance or
Mhm.
incorporated into the romance needlessly. So she likes stories with depth. She likes stories, but when it's that simple romance, that fun, fluffy, let's call it
Yes.
Hallmark,
Yes.
to all of a sudden make it a book about social change,
Right.
and she's saying that feels kind of disjointed, I guess.
That makes sense.
But again, we're all Christian writers, so
Yes.
there has to be a faith element in there.
Mhm.
However,
It's a balance.
Yeah. Like in Faith's Journey, when I wrote it, it was a lot about her change.
Mhm.
And the romance happened along with her faith change and growth and everything. And that was good, and that worked for hers. With the one that I just finished, not in this series, but the one I wrote in November, the person's already established in their faith, things like that. There weren't as many times when I necessarily came through with some big life-changing thing. I mean, there were faith reminders. I need to be doing this more. I need to be doing that more. If I were more tuned into my relationship with God right now, this wouldn't be a problem. But it's a lighter book than Faith's Journey. And so that really heavy-hitting stuff, it didn't really have a place in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Though it did still have faith in it. So what do you guys feel about that?
Try to write mine. I mean, they have to grow a little bit, obviously, but I also just want to show that even as Christians who have a faith, you know, we're still going to have bad days, and we're still going to have struggles, and need to rely on God through it all to make it through.
Yeah.
You know, so many people think, oh, well, you're a Christian, your life is going to be easy now. And that's not what the Bible says.
Right.
You know, it actually promises that we're going to have troubles and stuff. So, you know, I want my characters to be real in that aspect.
And I think too that this whole conversation kind of comes back to know what audience you're writing to. You know, if you want to write the fluffy romance, know that you're gonna need to find those readers who enjoy that type of romance. You know, and I think that's, you know, something important to remember. Because for me, mine is not a romance. You know, there is a little bit of romance threaded through, but it's not the main storyline of my series. So, yeah.
Do you guys have a Christian romance, either historical, contemporary? It could be fantasy. You could have Christian romance fantasy that stands out to you as this was just either a really fun romance book, or this one really, you know, it had the romance, but it meant so much to me, and it, you know, do you have one that stands out as one of your favorites?
Some of my favorite, like, lighthearted romance books is Aaron Magnum.
No.
They're hilarious. They're quirky. They're funny. They're, you know, they're a chick lit, so it's all about shopping and chocolate, but there is that romance appeal to it too. And they just, like, you know, you're gonna laugh and have fun, and they're gonna be together by the end of the book. So I really like her. I think her books are really good.
How about you, Amy?
I was trying to think of some of them. I have books that I will actually go back and reread. A lot of books I don't, because I have a lot of books.
400.
Not
read.
Yeah. So one that I like to go back and reread that is sort of like on the line romance and almost women's lit is Dear Mr. Knightley. Have you read that one? So it is. Now I'm not going to remember the author because I started talking
just
about
getting ready
this.
to ask.
I know. Catherine Ray, Reay. I love all of her books. She incorporates a lot of like Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters and stuff into her contemporary books.
So are they contemporary retellings? Okay.
No, they're like characters who love those so much that they can quote them by heart. But it's just not your normal everyday. Like you're never really sure exactly like, okay, who is Mr. Knightley? Who is this guy that she's falling in love with over here? Are they the same, or is this, you know, are they two different people? And you just have to like read it to the end to find out what happens.
Right. That sounds really interesting. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I've got them both written down.
Yeah.
I'll send you all the notes. You can't hear about a good book and not,
I know,
not
right?
look it up. I've read a lot of them. One of my favorite fun ones has been one that I just recently read, The Cupcake Dilemma by Jennifer Rodewald. And it is one of those, it's funny, it's sweet, it is a novella, so it's a little shorter.
Nice.
But it's part of a series as well. And I didn't realize till I'm reading through it, I'm like, those characters sound familiar. Wait a minute. No, I read this other book that,
I do that all the time.
wow.
Yes.
They're connected, and I go back and I look. I'm part of a series. Yeah.
That's so funny because I'm the type of person that like I won't start a book unless I know it's in the series. Like I have to go find out first, and I don't just pick one up and read. Like,
Well, you
I
can
have to
read
know.
this one standalone. They're,
Okay.
they're actually, I think, all written where you can read them standalone. Even though, okay, if you read this one last, you're going to be learning the story that's already established in these, but it doesn't affect it at all.
That's good.
And everything. But the Cupcake Dilemma was funny. The way it was written was just really fresh and sassy, and I kind of was in a
that.
fresh
I
and
like that.
sassy,
Yes,
and
love
it's
it.
first person,
Fun.
which I'm not a
I'm not a big fan.
first person, but reading, because usually it takes me out of it, because I'm like, I know I did not,
Right.
you know. But the way she did it just drew me in,
That's
and
good.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You have to do that correctly for it to really work.
So that's our thoughts on romance and the Christian fiction romance genre. And we hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. I don't know why I said
My
Thanksgiving.
5-year-old daughter does the same thing.
Hope you have a happy Valentine's Day, and check out some of these books. Share with us in your comments on your favorite Christian romance, whether it's fluffy or whether it's a little more in-depth. We'd love to hear from you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.